Okay, it is officially recording. Just let us know when you are done.
Well, it's really about, educating people and creating a sense of community.
Calgary Outlink is a nonprofit community organization that provides support services to the LGBTQ community.
For me, Outlink in this community has been a resource that I have drawn on to help strengthen myself as an individual and as a writer.
It's been a place where people can come and has been a huge part of Calgary's queer history.
For me, Outlink means making friends.
The easiest way I can explain this is that Outlink to me is like evolution is to biology.
We are a fundamental part of Calgary's queer society and queer growth, and currently we're expanding in a lot of different directions in a lot of different and really interesting ways that are important to building a community.
So Calgary Outlink is a pretty amazing community organization. One of the reasons why I think Calgary Outlink is so important in Calgary is because there's lots of groups in Calgary that support all kinds of queer initiatives, but Calgary Outlink really seems like such a central thing that supports all these different communities and brings people together who are doing all kinds of different things.
I think Calgary Outlink has given me confidence to talk in front of people, talk about my personal life. Not because I like to talk about my personal life, but because it might help others to understand and identify what they're going through.
I think it's also a great place for activism and, because Calgary sometimes can be sort of a more conservative place. I feel like there's a dichotomy here. It feels like there's still a lot of work to be done a lot of the time. So I think that Calgary Outlink is a really great space for doing that work and creating a lot of change.
As far as the LGBTQ community has come, there's still a long way to go in regards to social justice in the LGBTQ community because there's still so much education and acceptance that still needs to happen, not only in Alberta but around the world. Having a safe space for members of the LGBTQ community is really important to building that sense of community and providing information to members of the community.
One of the things that was really scary about growing up queer in Calgary is knowing that it's a really violent space sometimes to grow up queer, or to be a queer person in general, because it's coming slow here, the kind of acceptance we'd like to see. And having a place like the Resource Center is somewhere, a place that people can go to see themselves reflected and also to meet other people like them.
Queer community is marginalized, so you would think that we are compassionate and understanding towards each other, but if we look at the community at large, we are not, unfortunately. There is so much stigma towards different groups in this, subgroups in this bigger group, like towards transgender people and towards gender neutral people and towards different ethnicities. There is exotization, there is like racism, so there is so much complexity going on. So unless we have a platform where we can constantly talk and introduce new ideas, new people, I don't think it will make a difference in this society.
I think in our culture we have concepts that, being gay is wrong or being trans is not normal. So that, if folks are part of the community, they really feel like what they are is wrong. It's really easy for the queer community to become really fragmented, based on lines of gender and sexuality and all of that. And I think it's super important to have one organization that's sort of here for everyone.
It's that side of social justice that provides the support and provides that safe place
for people to explore who they are and interact with other people who are on the same path as them in life.
What we found is that cultivating a positive sense of identity is one of the most important things that an LGBTQ individual can do to enhance their life and have a healthy, happy reality. So I think the Community Resource Sharing Initiative is really vital because it's a space where people can go and they can read about the different parts of themselves, the different parts of their community, and it's also a place where they can meet community members and build community.
I personally think that books and resource materials are so important to our community because I think, you know, the mainstream media is only giving us like a really narrow depiction of what it is to be part of the LGBTQ community.
As part of the initiative, the funding of pamphlets and the other various materials will provide information for those community members to really take home and, you know, have something they can always go back to for information.
Having resources and books and pamphlets about various aspects of this whole spectrum is very important to make people aware, especially the younger kids who are just trying to understand what's going on. I think it's very important.
When I think about the LGBTQ Community Resource Sharing Initiative, the first thing that pops to my head is being 13 and not knowing anybody like me and not having any resources and not having any idea where to look for them. So that this exists now it's amazing. I think especially for some of the youth in Calgary who are coming up into an era where they are provided with more resources, where they can be more open about who they are. It's so important to have a place to go where they can get as much information as possible. Because as much as the internet offers, there's still something that's missing. And sometimes it's really hard to know what you're looking for on the internet. So to be able to come somewhere where the resources are already provided for you, that's a huge help.
If you have a youth who comes maybe down to Calgary Outlink and they're unsure about their sexuality or their gender identity and they're looking into that, and they come up to the office and maybe the first step is to look at a pamphlet, and then the second step might be to come into the office for peer support or even just say hi to whoever's in there, and then they get that sense that they're not alone and they have more than just that pamphlet. You know, like they have that pamphlet, but they also have access to maybe the youth group or someone in the office who they can go talk to about what they're going through.
I myself am a local artist, I'm a writer, and for the longest time writing was a means of dealing and coping and exploring any issue really, but in particular my identity as a gay man. And I'm at a point now where I feel that the strength and confidence that I have in my identity carries through in my writing, and to a point where I now write with the intention of promoting social justice.
Being an upcoming author, I know how difficult it is to reach out to people after you write something, and especially when you write about LGBTQ issues, because it's so stigmatized. No one wants to even read your articles. And if I think about visual art, there are a decent number of art galleries in Calgary, but how many of them actually have or host LGBTQ art, like just like painting showing, say, LGBTQ lifestyle, and how many people will feel comfortable going to those art galleries, seeing those art, buying those art. So having a safe space where these artists, LGBTQ identified artists, can come and share their art and let people know that we are writing about these things, we are making art about these things, these are very important. And the more visible we are in the literary or in the visual art or any form of art, the more we are visible, I feel the more acceptance we will get, because once again the same thing, the more and more we see these things, these will become mundane, hopefully very soon, and we do not have to shout about all these things, and the world would be a better place to live in.
So the Calgary Dollars portion of the grant that would be going to the Community Resource Sharing Initiative is going to some really great things. Half of it will go to the staff at Calgary Outlink for organizing events in the resource library, and then the other half goes to the artists who will be invited to speak in the resource library and to promote their materials. This is awesome for a number of reasons. LGBTQ artists are already marginalized for being artists and for being LGBTQ, so the intersection of those two diverse identities makes it that much harder to be successful. So any initiative that helps promote artists in our community makes the community grow and helps those artists to grow as well. So support.
I believe that demonstrating LGBT topics in literature is crucial to advancing our equality and our aspect of social justice.
And I think that being able to fund a project like this is, if you're looking to fund something social justice oriented, this is so important for today's youth, because being a young queer kid can be really hard.
It's not the problem with a person being gay or bisexual or trans or intersex or whatever identity they might be.
Am I too short for it?
You're sit a little straighter than your century.
Okay. Or
Okay, I guess that'll have to get cut.
yeah. Luca's gonna watch this and be like, what?
What does it mean?
Yellow. Party.
Oof. God.
What's your favorite thing about Calgary Outlink?
The volunteers.